We've all had the experience of having our businesses suddenly get bigger and suddenly become a lot more energy taking than energy giving. We get overwhelmed, we get frustrated, and maybe some days we wonder if it's even worth it. So on the line today, I've actually got my good friend, Jimmy Jays. He's got an interesting story, a bit of a chilling story about a day at the pool with his son. Jimmy, please say hello and tell us the story.
Yeah, hello. I was at what was supposed to be the pinnacle of business, where it had some success and got to where I wanted to be, income-wise, financially. And I'm standing at the swimming pool in the change rooms, getting ready to go swimming with my son. And I realized that I can't take my phone, obviously, into the swimming pool. And so I'm standing there, like having this gut-wrenching moment of putting my phone into the locker, because I know what's going to happen in the ensuing hour and a half that I'm gone. And in that moment, I was like, this is not what I signed up for, And when I started out in business, it was great, and I got some income and some freedom. And as business just grew and grew and grew, I didn't have the systems to sustain it. And so it ended up just taking up more and more and more of my time. Until that moment where I had to, lock the phone in the change room and say, I'm not going to sacrifice the time with my son, and just go anyways, and hope that there wasn't any catastrophes, while I was gone. So that was where I was at before I came to your first 80/20 summit.
Tell me about the ringtone, because I think that's just chilling.
So there's literally, at that same time in my life, there's a ringtone on an Apple phone. And, I literally had to switch that ringtone, because I was getting text messages all the time. Even when I was on the phone, my phone was ringing from text messages. And to this day, years later, if I'm ever out and about and I hear that ringtone go off somewhere else from a certain type of a bing, it gives me anxiety. So that's my constant reminder never to go back to that place.
Wow. So what did you have to build, or how did your mindset have to shift, or what skills did you need to acquire to get out from being that guy at the pool trying to decide between sacrificing your son, your quality time with your son, and your sanity because you were coming home to an avalanche of 30 text messages or something like that? What's changed in you and in your ability since then?
Yeah. The first thing I had to sacrifice was a little bit of my pride, because, I felt like I had built this successful business, and I was, externally supposed to be at the top, right? And everybody who looked from the outside probably thought that everything was going great. And so I had to swallow a little bit of pride and say, I've done a really great job at growing my skill set that I needed to get me to this point, but I've done a really terrible job at all these other skill sets that I didn't even know existed. And so specifically, some of the things that I've had to do is, grow my team and put some systems in place, so that things can happen, without me. Attending some of the 80/20 summits that you've put on. One of them, there was something that was called Scrum that was a really big impact for me, a really big business changer for me.
So tell me a little bit about that. Obviously we won't teach Scrum here because it's just a few minute video, but
Sure.
What were some coming out of the summit after you learned about Scrum? How did that change your outlook on your business and maybe how you managed the work that you're doing?
So one of the things that we did, what I did with you at the summit, was we went through and I literally just took down all of the different ideas of things that I could be doing in my business, and all the things that had sat on a back burner that I'd wanted to do for a long time, but I was just too busy in the day-to-day stuff. And so we put all of these things down, and you told us to go ahead and give a rating to each one of those things. And one of the ratings was the units of energy it would take to do this task, and the other one was the amount of impact or value that it would have on our business. And as I sat there, I had a little internal revolt that I was like, I don't need to do this exercise, Tim. I already know, right? Just take the things that have the highest value and let's go do those first. And what I found out was that there was a lot of items on my list that were really high value, really high impact, but they were also really high units of energy. And the reason I wasn't doing them was because I just didn't have time to tackle that entire task and get the benefit from it. And what I found out was that there was a lot of things on my list that were, they weren't a 10 out of 10 in impact, but they were a 9 out of 10 in impact. And the amount of work that it would take was significantly lower, like literally things that I could do in a couple hour time frame. And when I saw those things, I was like, how am I blind to this? Like, how have these things been here for so long that if I would just do this little version of it and just do this little piece, that I would be getting benefit from it, and it'd be giving me back, an hour, 2 hours per week, because of something I could do once for, an hour or two. So there's a lot of things like that were blind spots for me. And I almost didn't do the exercise because I thought that I knew it all. And so, yeah, I really appreciate that part of the Scrum. And now a couple years down the line, there's all of these, things that were on the back burner, systems for my business, things that I wanted to do that had just sat there for a long time. And now they're just systematically just being eliminated off my list. And every time one of them gets done, it frees up more time for me to do, the next thing. So it's been really exciting.
It sounds like there's an element of, at the summit, you learned some tools, Scrum being one of them, that allowed you to get some new kind of perspective. And as a CEO, leader, president, owner of your business, you having some additional skills and tools to make your strategic decisions about what needs to happen next in the company was one of the things that made a huge impact for you at past summits. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say number one was seeing blind spots. So there's problems that I didn't even see. And so I wasn't even actively looking for a solution because I didn't see them to be problems. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was, once I saw them to be problems, just some real, like, get in there and tools that I could use to be able to actually solve those problems once I identified them.
Right. So you're coming to Summit this year. What are you looking forward to this year's Summit happening this October?
I just love every time I go to Summit that there's new things added to it. And I feel like as your mastery continues to get even better and better, that I'm excited to just learn from you and learn from Perry. And I think I'm also just really excited for just having some space, just getting away from the day-to-day things, getting into a different city, getting into a different environment, and being able to do that, $10,000 an hour thinking style work that I don't do the rest of the time.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Jimmy. To anybody who's watching this, you've heard us mention Summit. You can head over to www.the8020summit.com. Make sure to include the, and it's the number 8020, and then the word summit.com. And you can see what it is that's happening this upcoming October in San Diego. Thanks for watching.